Hi everybody, it's Bill. Welcome back to the channel. Got a new job. Gonna make some videos mostly about shop setup. That's kind of where we're at. My new job is at a small liberal arts college. I'm working as a machinist in their physics department, and the goal is to kind of convert the shop into something that can be utilized by the students in addition to myself. So the gentleman who had the position prior to me was kind of a traditional machinist and did a lot of projects and accumulated a lot of stuff, as you can see. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm going to go ahead and walk over and we're going to kind of take a quick run through of the shop. Okay, so we're standing in what we'll call the front of the shop here, and the background on the shop is this college has been around a long time. It was founded in the late 1800s. I believe the shop was originally set up by the Navy, and you can see from some of the equipment as we walk around that it's definitely got the look of stuff that is used by the Navy. And it's been here pretty much as is for probably prior to World War II. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk around and kind of show some of the things that are here and go from there. So we got like a lot of cabinets, a lot of stuff. Little tapping guide here. Some vintage power tools. Look at the old Craftsman metal body drill. I think I have one similar my grandfather gave me. So we got some old stuff here, a lot of clutter, stuff that's going to have to get going through. First kind of big machine here is this arbor press. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. What's that? Greenard arbor press, huh? So it looks like it's been around a while. And then it's got a tag up there. Can't quite make that out. And we've got some, not quite sure what these guys are down here. I know at one time they had a pretty large Brown and Sharp horizontal mill. And I've got some literature on that. I think I'm going to put that up maybe in a future video. Next kind of interesting guy here is this Buffalo drill press. I've never heard of that brand before, but it seems like it's a little bit similar to maybe a Sibley, like Keith Fenner's, but and Don Cossit's, but this one doesn't have a power quill feed on it. And if you look at the elevation for the table, it's kind of an interesting design. You can't really swing the table passed around because you're going to interfere here, and this is bolted. So it's kind of an interesting design. I haven't seen one quite like that, but it looks pretty beefy, and it can raise and lower the quill guide here, and it's got a back gear. And I've ran this, and it seems like it runs pretty good. Let's see, got a South Bend here. Again, I'm going to put some info up later. I know the serial number is under these guys here, but I don't want to move that stuff right now. But this is a 14.5-inch swing with an 8-foot bed, and it's got the flat belt drive. So that's looks like it's probably been here quite some time. Over here on this side here, this is a newer machine that the person I am taking over from, he retired. I believe he purchased this machine. It's got some issues. I don't think he's used it in a while with the oiler, and I think I need to adjust the clutches here for the feed. It's not working very well right now, so I have to dig into that. Back here we've got this gigantic Dake 24-inch bandsaw. And it's a nice machine. I've used it already. I think it's a little bit big for the scale of the shop, but you know, sometimes I know working in an institution, you got to kind of take advantage of when people offer you an upgrade or something to take and kind of get what you can get. And I think that's what he did. I think he did a lot of sheet metal, so you know, it's nice to have the big throat on it. But again, this is quite a big machine for this type of projects we're going to be doing here. This machine has a drive on it to assist feeding large material in there, so you can kind of get a feel for the anticipated size of work for it. At my old job, actually two jobs ago, we had a dual that had a power feed table, and you could pin things to the table and the whole table moved in. So this one's a little bit different. You have that chain mechanism that goes around. So it's again, it looks like a good machine, and I've run it, so it's pretty good. Got some tooling and stuff here, collets. Got a lot of these cans. I don't know if these are coffee cans or what. I know, like, my dad had a lot of stuff in coffee cans, and I don't remember them having these ribs on them, but who knows. A lot of twist drills, reamers. I'm going to go in a lot of this, probably in a lot more detail, because there's just so much stuff here for me to go through. Just a lot of tooling. So back here, this is Bridgeport. This will actually be the first time I've used actual Bridgeport and not a knockoff or a clone, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's got the variable speed head. I think it needs a little bit of maintenance. I'm noticing that I've used it a little bit already, and I'm noticing when I'm putting load on it, I'm getting some noise out of here, so I'm not sure if it's a bearing or if it just needs attention. Maybe it's some lube or something. And I'm going to move some of this stuff around later on. I've got a lot of things to kind of move, but you can see there's some items and things for horizontal mill that they got rid of. Big 50 taper arbor there. And over here, I think this is one of the stabilization arms for it. I have the book for it, so I'm going to put that up later on, and we can have a look at it. Now down here, this is one thing I want to show real quick. He's got this pretty big, this is a 14-inch rotary table, so I don't know what they were using that for. That's pretty big. Not sure I'm going to be keeping that here for the type of projects that I've seen drawings and stuff for what they've done. It seems like it's a little out of scale. And then here's another one. Again, we're going to look at this one a little bit more carefully, but this is even bigger. I measured it earlier. I think this is an 18-inch rotary table. And yeah, so it's pretty big for this shop. So we have some material back here. Need to do a lot of straightening out. If you're working industry, they'll call this activity 5S. Or lean type thing, but it's basically just picking crap up, and that's what we're going to be doing a lot of. Got a Miller 200 here and a nice thermodynamics plasma cutter. So I just went through the Miller. It looks pretty good. Again, it looks like it hasn't seen a lot of use. I cleaned it up and everything. I've got a spool of cell shielding flux core in there. I need to do some projects right away, and I'm going to get that going. And it looks like we have a kind of a really old belt sander here, Newton Manufacturing Company. It doesn't look like it's been used in a while. Not sure about that. Here, this is Inco. We had one of these at one of my previous jobs. They're okay. They're a little flimsy, but you know, for what they are, it's a little mill drill. It's good for light projects, things like that. And over here, this is, again, I need to look at this guy a little bit more. It's some kind of tool grinder here. I think it's hasn't been used in a little while. Okay, so we'll move on over here. Again, a lot of stuff. Nice big Wilton vise. Got to do something with this guy here. I don't know if it got tweaked or bent or whatever, but it's pretty tight in here. Corner notcher. What do we got here? Our box and pan brake. Another old south bin. This guy works and everything. It looks like it might need some work. I'm not really sure what we would use this for at this point, but it doesn't take up a lot of space, so I think we're going to hold on to it. Got some other stuff here, a scroll saw, again more of those cans. Looks like some homemade or shop made maybe belt sander, buffing wheel, things like that. Looks like a little tool maybe for grinding tools here. It's kind of a weird arrangement. A little 12-inch disc sander. And over here, a lot of cabinets in here, a lot of, we're going to see when we go in the other section, a lot of stuff. I don't know how else to kind of describe it. I mean, it's an accumulation. The gentleman was working here for, I believe, 23 years, and he retired, so he had ample opportunity to collect items, and I think a lot of this stuff was here before he even came, so it's been quite an accumulation of items. So we'll go over into the other annex of the shop here. So we have some cutting. We've got a hot chop saw here, and then we have a pretty old Porter cable slow speed saw. I've used this to cut some material. It seems to work pretty good. I probably need a new blade. There's a couple teeth missing on it. Fairly new Baldur tool grinder. Looks like it's in really good shape. And he's got a diamond wheel on one side for carbide, and then one of these white wheels here for tool steel. And then another nice Baldur with a little deburr and a wire wheel. More cabinets and stuff. And then here we've got a pretty good Wilton belt sander here. I've used this, it works well. It's got a nice little notcher or chamfer attachment on it here, and that works pretty well. This guy here, let me move the sandpaper out of the way. It's a combination. It's a slip roll on top and a little, oops, sorry guys, a light press brake on the bottom. We had one of these at the college I used to work at, not this brand, but a similar one, and they kind of work okay, but it's kind of like they don't do either function very well, so I'm not really sure about that. And again, more items here, storage of stuff. Over here we've got a Tenny, or I'm sorry, a National, and Tenny is the one that I had at a previous job, a little power shear here. That looks like it's in pretty good shape. And more cabinets. It's a sandblaster cabinet or blasting cabinet there. I think kind of a, looks like a shop built one. And this stuff is the gentleman's who retired. He's going to come and collect this. Looks like a really old drill press, and then his radial arm saw. And this guy here, this is pretty cool. I'm going to probably do a separate thing on this, but I think this is a actual cast iron surface plate for doing inspection and layout. And right now you can see it's been used for, like a lot of horizontal surfaces in the shop, they end up storing things on it. So I want to clear this off and have a good look at it. I've never used or seen a surface plate like this out of cast iron, and it kind of goes along with the fact that I believe the shop was here prior to World War II. So that kind of goes along with when they shifted, due to the war and the shortage of steel, when they shifted from kind of cast iron to granite. And then over on this side again we have more storage. This is, I want to look more at this. This is another sharpening grinding station here for tooling and stuff. I believe you can do drills and mills and things like that with it. So we'll do some more research on that. And let's see, what else can I show you guys? Yeah, just a lot of stuff that just needs to go through. And you know, with some stuff, something like this, it's like you're tempted just to, or I'm very tempted just to basically pitch everything and just start over. But I think there's a lot of stuff here that has some value, and I'm going to try and do my best to kind of go through it and sort it and get rid of what I don't think we're going to need. And, you know, material and stuff like that's not free, and find a better way to organize stuff and kind of get things kind of sorted out. So the shop's got 3-phase, which is nice. This room right here, the ventilation is going to be kind of an issue here. It's kind of sealed off. You can see there's no registers or anything. I do have this fan here that we've got to get repaired, and basically draws air in and exhausts it out. So that's something I'm going to be looking at carefully, because you know, you want to have good ventilation, especially if we're going to be doing some machining and things like that. The ceiling is 9 foot, and the front door is 36. The other door in the other annex is 36. And then in the back here, we've got, in this area with a lot of clutter, I've got this roll-up door, which has got 2 double doors on the other side of that, and that goes outside. It's going to be kind of a pain getting stuff in and out of the shop. This building here out in the front is, there's stairs to get into it, and then out in back here is 3 stairs as well off the landing. So that's where most of the stuff's going to have to go, and we're going to have to, you know, either crib it down, or I'm thinking about even making a ramp of some kind to get some of this stuff out of here that needs to go. So the other thing too is this transition is going to take quite a bit of time to get this to where it's a place for students to come and do work. Again, this is a kind of a 4-year college. It's supporting the physics department, so this is not, you know, a vocational setting here where we're teaching people how to be machinists. We're teaching scientists a little bit about how things are made, and to give them a better understanding so they can be better in the field when they graduate and have more of a background, a more solid background in how things go together. One of my previous jobs, I worked in aerospace, and you know, there were a lot of designers, are very, very smart men and women, and they had never built anything pretty much in their life, and you could tell by their designs that they, you know, had a lot of issues with being able to fabricate something to achieve a goal. And to me, this type of experience, even if it's not a lot, is very helpful for a designer to learn how some of this stuff works and how people put things together in a machine and fabricate. It just makes them a better designer. So that's kind of what the goal is for this shop, is to kind of get into that mode. Most of the parts that I've seen the gentleman that was here build fairly straightforward, some a little bit complex, but from the machining standpoint, I think it's a little bit on the more basic side. So most of the video that I'm going to be uploading for the near future are going to be talking about different equipment and different approaches on how to organize things and kind of get stuff going. I'm just trying to pan around here as I'm talking so you can see some of the stuff here, like a pretty large grinder, a bench grinder here. I like that chart up there. That thing looks like it's got some age to it. Pretty cool stuff. Some flat belt. There's a bunch of flat belts and some other parts here I was looking at earlier. The only thing I haven't found yet is, I know both Keiths, Keith Rucker and Keith Fenner, did a little video on doing the splicing for those and everything with that. I believe it's a clippered splicing unit, and I haven't seen that here yet. I'm imagining that I will find it eventually, but there's a lot of work to be done. Right now in the school year, this is summer, and unfortunately for me, what that means is it's a busy time for instructors wanting things made for their research, and that's kind of where I'm at, trying to find things and be able to get projects done for them, and then when the school year actually starts, I'll have more time to focus on cleaning up and organizing. The other challenge for the shop is it's always had a very, very small budget, and the person prior to me, the gentleman, was able to kind of get some of this equipment from other departments because he supported them, And we're going to be kind of shifting from that a little bit and kind of focusing on more of the academic side. So it's going to be a challenge for me to find sources of funding. And we're very fortunate, and I was here today on a Saturday to meet a former alumni who has a Bridgeport J-head, and he very generously donated that to the shop in addition to getting it moved here. So very generous, and that's a great start for me to be able to kind of get that going, and we're going to continue to have to do that in the future to kind of get things up and running. And got a nice cast iron lapping plate here. The other tool that they had that I know they got rid of, because I've seen some of the moving documents and kind of cleaning stuff up, is they had a surface grinder at one point. You can see some wheels and stuff there for it. I believe that it was in this room here, possibly where the shear is now, so they got rid of that. So I'm going to be rounding up all the items that are for the surface grinder and things like that, and seeing what we can do with it. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen with a lot of this stuff that we don't need. Obviously some of the things like those rotary tables that have some value, I'm going to get there are a couple of machine dealers out here. I'm going to get them out here and see if they'll give me a bid on it. And then those funds will go back into the budget for the shop. But some of the stuff I'm thinking that it just doesn't make sense for me to do that, because the value of them is not worth it. So I think I'm going to be giving back to the community of YouTube that has helped me so much, and I've gotten so much entertainment and knowledge out of. So I'm going to be looking to kind of pass some of that stuff forward, especially the things that I don't need, like come back here, and the camera work's going to get better with time, guys. Just be patient. A lot of this stuff for the horizontal, like these cutters and everything like that, I know a lot of guys who have those horizontals, and they're going to be interested maybe in picking up some of this stuff, and I am going to be more than happy to float some of that stuff out their way. So I got a lot of work to do, and to be honest, this is kind of my second week here, and I'm still in a little bit of shell shock. I knew that the lab was in this condition. I interviewed and actually went through on a tour, so I knew I was up against kind of a big task here. And it's one thing to kind of look at it and be like, yeah, you know what, I can do that. But to be actually in it and actually here and have it happening, it's a little bit different story. So I think we're going to get there. It's just going to take time, and I just need to be patient. And the first thing I really need to do is get my office squared away a little bit. I'm kind of a office guy where I need kind of a place to go where I can feel organized and have things set up the way that I want it, and then come up with a plan for this, because one of the challenges with working with a small space and a lot of stuff, and you're not going to be throwing everything away, is how do you sort everything out? I've got these bins and stuff here everywhere with hardware. There's some here, there's some on the other side, there's some in these cans, there's some here. So it's like, how do you coalesce all that stuff? You need a staging area, and the problem is right now you can see that there's not a lot of spare room in here, and it's going to be a challenge for me to kind of figure out a plan on how to do this. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe some people would comment on some ideas that they might have if they were put in this situation where, hey, you've got all this stuff, you don't want to just throw everything away, because you may need some of it, but you can't keep everything, and it doesn't make sense to keep everything. So what's the best way to kind of do that and sort everything out? And it's tough because I need to kind of get projects going. I'm working on this mill here. I'm doing some acrylic pieces, and I'm like, where's the tooling? And so I brought in a lot of my own stuff, but you look at how everything is kind of laid out here, And again, I kind of understand, you know, everyone's got their style of work and how they like to do things and everything, but I tell you, this is not the way that I like to work. I like to be a little bit more organized with everything and have kind of stuff laid out a little bit better. And that's a challenge for me right now, because I need to kind of be able to work and get stuff done, and I can't clean everything at the same time. So anyhow, like I said, more to come hopefully on the shop, on some of the equipment and specifically, and then I have a lot of the manuals and the books for some of this older stuff, so I'll be putting that up, maybe uploading it to the vintagemachinery.org website if it's not already there, and then showing it in the video as a little screen capture to just for general interest, especially that horizontal mill. I haven't seen one like it. It's kind of weird, and like I said, we'll put a video up on that. So let's see if I get that. Got one of these gimbal mounts here. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and more to come.